What's good, kings and queens? I hope everyone's week is doing well. So I went through the best chins in boxing. Let's go through the glass and shaky chins in boxing. Before I start, what makes a chin shaky? It means you're more susceptible to getting wobbled by a shot, but easily recover and move forward into the match. It doesn't mean you have a bad chin. Now, there are fighters on this list that unfortunately have both a shaky and a glass chin, which is the worst combination. The glass chin is pretty much self-explanatory. In this video, I'll be combining both, but I will state which type of chin they have. With that being said, let's start the video. 8 losses, all 8 by KO. It took the right trainer to help mold a style that would suit his Achilles heel. After Enzo's first loss, he would bounce back on a 25 fight win streak, get knocked down against Bruce Scott.
Scott has got Maccarinelli all over the place, and I'm not sure he'll be able to come back from that.
Before facing the biggest puncher he ever faced, which was David Haye for the unified cruiserweight title. It didn't take much from Haye to wobble Enzo and get him out of there in the second round.
The referee very late. This one may be over. Unsteady legs. Only the second round. He's got a minute remaining.
Despite being cracked here and there, Enzo was comfortably ahead in his title elimination fight against Ola Afolabi, who is not a puncher. Enzo coming in was a 20-1 favorite. He looked like he had the fight in control. In the 9th round, Enzo hits the wall and Ola just needs to land a clean shot on the exhausted Enzo. Ola lands a shot out of nowhere as Enzo was really starting to look sloppy and floors Enzo to the canvas. He was able to get up, but his legs were not there, resulting in the stoppage.
Really dangerous times for him. He's going through a bad spell in this round. He's wilting a bit. Oh, and there's a right hand. Is that going to finish the argument? Maccarinelli clambers to his feet with a count of 7, but he's all out. He looks exhausted. It is stopped. That is an absolute catastrophe, really, for Enzo.
The Alexander fight, Enzo was looking good and seemed like to have the edge on Alexander coming in the second half. But before the compliments began flowing in on how well Enzo is controlling the fight, a rogue left hook comes crashing down, dropping Enzo, completely derailing his momentum.
Very close look at him. Is it all going to come apart? It is. That will be it. No count. Maccarinelli. Career unravels again.
Now, I could show more fights, but this has been the tale of his career outside of the Haye fight. Enzo does everything right, but his chin has held him back, resulting him coming short of title shots and opportunities of regaining the title. James Kirkland falls in the line of a shaky chin. If you're skillful enough or lucky enough, you could get him out of there early.
There it is again. Third knockdown now, and Joe Cortez is stopping the fight. James Kirkland was fighting Cortez to try to get up, and Cortez pushed him down. He stopped the fight. James Kirkland has been knocked out.
But if you don't, the second he begins to show signs of recovery, you might as well take everything you have and put it into one big rally, because you will be in there for a long, brutal night, with Kirkland being the victor.
Just a strafing left hand at Conyers. Dynamic. Remember, well, it's waved off now. 3 knocked out rally. Conyers doesn't know where he is.
Now, the elephant in the room is when it comes to Kirkland's insane recovery and conditioning, it had to do with former trainer Ann Wolfe, which, given the proven track record, she was training him on and off, and it was a night and day difference in James's stamina. The Ishida fight was more of a combination of Ishida not allowing James to warm up, sticking to the game plan, boxing without engaging into a brawl to where he was able to pick Kirkland apart. The Anguilla and Molina fight is a great showcase of Ann Wolfe's conditioning. Molina is a sharp puncher and roughly the same amount of punching power as Ishida, and since James was able to warm up, he was just eating Molina's shots while trying to get ahead in the fight, practically losing every round up until the 10th round, where he was still incredibly fresh, had his best offensive rally to drop Molina, then for the fight to end in DQ because Molina's corner entered the ring while the round is technically not over, as Molina was still receiving a count. The Anguilla fight, Anguilla is one of the biggest punchers at junior middleweight, and his Achilles heel is his speed, but if he lands solidly on you, you're in for a bad day. Alfredo landed very clean on Kirkland, dropping Kirkland. Kirkland was able to get up, not only weather the storm to the point of Anguilla punching himself out, but Kirkland ends up dropping him in that very same round.
Where that Ann
Wolf training.
What an amazing comeback
Oh,
in this round.
oh,
my
Angula's
God.
out. Angula's hurt bad. Angula's about to go. Angula's about to go. This is it. He's done. He's out on his feet. He punched himself out. He's done. He's done. The ref better stop it in a
Both
hurry.
guys are standing up to incredible punishment.
After that, round after round, Kirkland was just a fresher guy, and Angula's power no longer had the effect on him. Now, James never really spoke out why he left Van Wolf. We can only assume it had to do with the borderline abusive nature of the training.
I call this the chain.
The chain?
I say, you're gonna be a today. So I take it, it weighs about 50 pounds. I make them hold their hands out like this, and I wrap it all around their hands. And I make them walk 4 miles with it.
Now, I've heard horror stories from my brother and close friends of mine who underwent boot camp in the United States Marine Corps. My brother went to Parris Island, North Carolina for his training in 2013. 90 days, you're getting trained, slayed, off-record hazed, and before the incident in 2014, bleached while doing push-ups in the showers. And Wolf is literally taking elements from the slaying side, and fighters of all ages are being put through that on a camp-to-camp basis. Now, what is getting slayed and how does it happen? Getting slayed can happen at any time. You can either mess up, look like you're messing up, or the drill instructor doesn't like you. They'll tell you to strip, where you take off your field uniform and do push-ups to failure in the sand fleet pit. Well, that's if you're at Parris Island. Or in worst cases, make you walk into the forest where it's just you and them and they slay you there. Video that I can't even show because it involves the youth, and Wolf's pupils are being beaten with a medicine ball while in a push-up and planking formation, the ball being hurled at them at full force at their shoulders, upper and lower back. For a fighter, there's no benefits to that. It's more damage than beneficial. So I can only imagine what James went through in camp and why he would much rather respectfully choose another trainer without discussing the details why. Before we get back to the video, be sure to hit that like button to help the rest of the good old folks to see this video. This video's comment section topic question is, what was the fight, boxing or MMA, you were highly anticipated on seeing, but somehow, in some way, it never happened? Leave in the comments. Mine was 17-0 Yoriokas Gamboa versus 28-0 Juan Manuel Lopez. Gamboa was a rising up-and-comer, then now champion in featherweight. Juan Manuel Lopez, coming into 2010, was the biggest Puerto Rican fighter at that time besides Miguel Cotto. He had big power and an exciting style. After struggling to make super bantamweight, he moved up to Gamboa's weight class of featherweight. Gamboa versus Lopez was really the fight fans in the lower weight classes were demanding, and everyone was duped into thinking that this event here was a setup fight. As a co-main event, you had Gamboa against Rogers Matagua. Matagua lost in a highly controversial fight against Lopez a year prior, with a lot of hometown cooking taking place. I mean, blatant hometown cooking. Gamboa completely obliterates Matagua in the second round. Juan Manuel Lopez was up next against Steven Luevano for the WBO title. Luevano is an incredibly hard fighter to look good against. It's slow pace, it's ugly, very uninspiring, but he's a winner. For the MMA folks, he is the equivalent to a Damian Maia. Lopez, who many were at doubts due to his performance against Matagua, had everyone at awe, putting up one of his best performances since the Jerry Penalosa fight, stopping Luevano for the first time in his career in the 7th round, sending the young champion into retirement. You couldn't have asked for a better setup fight, and this really should have been easy to make, but well, it never happened. Thanks for sticking around, and let's get back to the video. I think Berto falls in the line of a shaky chin. His recovery is not well to where his offense for rounds on end takes an immediate pause, but he's able to persevere with a massive amount of heart alone. Early on, Berto was a product of spot-on, well-tailored matchmaking. He had much more of a mauling style, which would come to a sudden end against Cosmo Rivera, a guy Zab Judah wiped out decisively. Berto would cruise on to a decision, but he would transition more to a boxer-puncher in future fights, which he would need against big puncher Juan Urango, the biggest puncher on Berto's resume up to date. Juan wasn't able to hit Berto anywhere, as this fight was, you're just fighting to win and look good another day. Very similar to Ricky Hatton's fight against Urango. Berto's biggest test would be against Victor Ortiz, who has a well-rounded combination of power and speed, where despite it being even, both fighters touching the canvas. Berto, the much more affected by the knockdowns. The final knockdown on Berto affected him in a manner that he just did not have the legs to form an offense for the final 5 rounds, resulting in Ortiz to practically sweep the back half of the fight, earning him the Mayweather sweepstakes. The Guerrero fight was identical to the Ortiz fight after getting cracked and dropped. His heart was clearly there, but his legs were not, where he could not put forward a consistent offense, losing out on another Mayweather sweepstakes. Not to mention the swelling to his eyes, also playing a factor in the fight. The Cotto's fight, Berto's basic conditioning improved dramatically to where he could recover and push forward after facing such trouble, but he left himself too wide open, ruined his third chances at a Mayweather fight in the final round. The Ortiz rematch shows that the missing link was Berto's conditioning. He gets dropped early against Ortiz. He was quickly able to recover and have the strength in his legs to come back and put Ortiz away.
Wobbly, foggy, right hand Berto. Can he finish him this time? Another left hook. Ortiz is down again. Ortiz doesn't know how to.
Now you're probably thinking, Hancho, Cotto? Really? You're smoking something. Hear me out here. His chin's not bad. Shaky, yes, but it mostly occurred early in a fight. The Ricardo Torres fight being the only exception where he was wobbled numerous times. By the judo fight, Cotto got a strength and conditioning coach, which according to the HBO Countdown, he never really had one.
2006 moved up to the welterweight division. Conditioning coach Phil Landman was then brought into camp with a clear mission: make Cotto into a 147-pound champion.
140 is not his natural weight. 147, I say, is a lot more natural for him.
Phil Landman remained his coach for many years to come, where if he was stunned, he quickly was able to get his legs back underneath him. His recovery was so well that Mosley completely missed an opportunity to follow through and win the round big and possibly drop Cotto because 1, he had recovered so quickly, and 2, he has a damn good poker face. Pacquiao was able to stun and drop him, but due to his recovery and conditioning after the 4th round, Pacquiao was not able to really stun him in the fashion as he did earlier in the fight. Mayweather was able to stun Cotto in the final round of their fight. Floyd could have followed through and dropped Cotto, but knowing that this was the dagger to win the round and the fight, Mayweather chose to finish the final 45 seconds conservatively as Cotto quickly gets his legs back and goes out on the offensive to score. Canelo, who has a great mixture of power and speed, landed punches that would have stunned and dropped the Cotto of old. I felt like when it comes to Cotto's punch resistance and conditioning, this was his peak, unfortunately being this late into his career. Not once he was stunned, he did get buckled but not stunned, and he was able to fight at a pace that he wasn't able to do years prior. Gamboa has been knocked down in pretty much every fight he's been in since his HBO debut against punchers and non-punchers. It is a combination of a shaky chin, balance, and the fact that his chin is rarely ever tucked in like it should. It doesn't also help that he has incredibly short arms for the weight class. He is at a physical disadvantage every fight, where even the 8 to 10 to 1 underdog Robinson Castellano was able to stop Gamboa in the 7th round.
Round 2. Oh, and there he goes. It's a slip, though. It's a slip. Fundamentals is not exploding. There he goes. 12th time he's down as a pro. Oh, big right hand.
I was actually astonished that Devin Haney was not able to knock Gamboa down despite landing very cleanly. Now I was wondering what was Gamboa's fight day weight because he looked massive on fight day. That may have played into effect. In this case, body work would have helped a lot, but due to the arm reach, Devin was mostly stuck to just headhunting rather than risking going downstairs and being caught by Gamboa. As stated in my previous video, in the heavyweight division, a weight class where anyone can get rocked and anyone can get dropped, but it's what you do after that. And with Frank Bruno, if he fell into such a situation, it was almost impossible for him to regroup, resulting in all 5 of his losses being by knockout. His chin actually held up very well against Bone Crusher Smith in his first loss.
And Bruno looks out on his feet to me. Oh, he's got him. Oh dear me, the end of the Bruno story by the look of this. He took it all on the ropes, and the left hook whipped over and he's counted out.
He will then get brutally put away against Tim Witherspoon late into the fight.
Oh, on the top of the head, the left hook. He's starting to go to pieces in the corner, and he's breaking up a bit now. He's hitting him on, he's down, he's got to get him up. And the time
We're skipping over Mike Tyson because, well, I mean, come on now. The Lewis fight, a fight where it was very even, Bruno having the slight lead coming into the 7th round, and to be winning the round big before Lewis catches him with a well-timed counter, which was all what was needed for Lewis as he would finish Bruno off that round.
Amazing that Bruno stands up, and now Mickey Van stops the fight. It was a one-punch comeback. Lennox Lewis desperately behind on the scorecard.
Tommy was blessed with power that can bail out today's economy, the heart to match it, but his biggest Achilles heel was his chin, which led to big money fights down the drain and setup matches he was supposed to win. Power and heart alone was able to escape the jaws of defeat and score the knockout on Razor Ruddock to set up a fight against Lennox Lewis. David Price had the insane height, reach, power, but sadly had the combination of both a shaky and glass chin. 7 losses, all 7 by KO, but I will have to state here that one of the stoppages was due to his torn bicep, not chin related. The skill level of Price's early opponents were in no shape or form to be testing him. His first loss would be to a very underrated contender, Tony Thompson, in the 2nd round. You can call it a perfect punch because it wasn't all that hard, but it landed at the right place at the right time. The rematch was more of Price being absolutely exhausted, where he lost complete awareness to where he was. It reminded me a lot of Vladimir Klitschko versus Lamont Brewster. I give him a pass for that fight. After some tune-up fights, Price would get put away very suddenly in the 2nd round against Arkin Tepper, then again against Christian Hammer in a fight he was comfortably ahead in.
Grab him here, Ronald. You must hold Hammer just to grab him.
And David Price is out on his feet, and I think unless he shows referee Phil Edwards something here, it is stopped. David Price.
A lot of heart and pride. Price's chin held up commendingly well against Povetkin. Thanks to his conditioning, he was able to bounce back and even dish it back to Povetkin, really getting back into the fight before, unfortunately, he was put away moments later in the 5th round.
Povetkin with a right hand and a left hook lays out David Price. The tail's in. He won't make it, and it is Alexander Povetkin.
Respectful though. Oh, and he's caught by left hand, and the right is a left hook that did the damage, and Khan goes down. He's saying he's been pushed, but he's down. That is the knockout that spells danger time for Khan, and he's still looking unsteady.
Well, you probably clicked on this video because he's on the thumbnail. So here you go. Is Khan's chin really that bad? I'm not gonna lie, it's bad, but I don't think it's that bad.
Stay focused, okay? Keep the feints going and that busy jab to keep him off balance.
He tends to lose concentration a lot to where Virgil Hunter had to wake the man up as the tide of the fight was starting to change to Collazo briefly.
Listen, man. Listen, don't you do that shit again where you're holding your hands like that. You hear me? Yeah. This is your fight. You don't give him a chance like that. Now you see what happens when you feint him and drop him to the body? Feint him and look at me.
Not to mention the Maidana fight, where it looked like he had it in the bag.
Hard right hand. Khan is tremendously wobbled. Amir should be holding on right now.
He doesn't really have much of a defense. His defense is his offense. The minute he slows down and allows his opponent to develop a rhythm and timing, he's a sitting duck. But you tell me, anyone who has hit this clearly should very well be laid out. There's this clip I saw a while ago I posted on Instagram. This right here is equivalent if Amir Khan had the hand speed of the likings of an Alfredo Angulo, some of the slowest hands on the world stage. Look at the holes here, which led to this man getting dematerialized. But since he's so fast, he can get away with that. One thing that helped Khan tremendously was his strength and conditioning. His chin remained the same, but his punch resistance and his strong base kept him up. This gave him stupid confidence after the Maidana fight to where, despite being hurt, he was willing to bang it out anyway. This would come to a rude awakening against Danny Garcia.
Off a sensational counter left hook by Garcia. Sensational counter left hook. And Amir Khan may not get his senses back.
Danny was about to pack it up and fight conservatively as Khan recovered just enough to evade him, but due to Khan's ego, he felt like he could jump right back in and just brawl with Danny, over finishing the round fully recovered and regrouping in the next round against a potentially punched out Garcia. This led to Khan getting stopped by Garcia, pretty much ending his career there, as he was gate-kept from such big fights till way later in his career.
Third knockdown of the fight. Doing this round.
5, 6, 7, 8. You okay, man?
Danny Davis is going to stop the fight. Amir Khan has been knocked out.
And on top of that, this is the Glass and Shaky Chins of boxing. For part 2, be sure to like, share, and if you're new, subscribe to the Patreon for Patreon-backed projects and early access. This project being on the tail of Floyd Mayweather versus Ricky Hatton. I'm Lopez, and I'm out.